Good morning, everybody. This is Diggs. It's another beautiful day out here in the Pacific Northwest. And today we're going to be talking about some tips and strategies to clear light selection quest number 11, 12, and 13. Let's go ahead and dig in. Now, light selection quest 11, 12, and 13 are actually very difficult. I actually had a pretty reasonably hard time dealing with them, but I did go in rather blind. I didn't know any of the strategies. Chat was helping me out. So if you want to see my blind attempts, kind of how I approached it, I do have a stream VOD about it, but I'm also going to talk about it a little bit in this video here. Now you can see I have a lot of VC set, pretty standard. I went for mostly slash attack because a lot of the enemies are going to be vulnerable to slash attack. One of the big things here for when you get to light selection quest 13, if you have access to exorcist for triple trick, it'll make the chain 5 easier with Vistral because he has access to sub soldier, but you don't need that. You can actually get it pretty quickly and relatively easily. But let's just talk about selection quest number 11 right now. Mariel is definitely the MVP, and honestly, Mariel is the MVP through all of these selection quests. I would highly recommend getting her 120. Most people are already going to have Fina 120, but Mariel's 120 is exceptionally powerful. Having access to her level 20 ability Mind Crusher, or job level 25 ability Mind Crusher, is very powerful and was key in a lot of different situations in this mission. So let's go into the mission and I'll show you kind of what I did for some initial deployment. It's also important here that Fina has access to her TMR because there are enemies that are susceptible to charm. Going into the mission, you do want to initial deploy, and there's a couple things you want to factor in here as you are coming in. There are going to be cactuars on this mission, and there are also going to be tomberries and mind flayers. So you see here in the initial layout, we have a coral up here, a Sahagin up here, we have a mind flayer, another Sahagin, and we have a tomberry. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to put Fina in Camillo's spot. Since Camillo is the tankiest, I'm going to put Camillo up front. And then Mariel is also tanky, so I'm going to leave Mariel up front here. Now, the biggest thing that you want to do is you want to move Fina first to charm the coral. Now, this is going to do a couple things here. This is going to make it so that the coral handles the soul flare. And that's important because if you don't handle the soul flare, he will come down and paralyze your entire party once you trigger him. So I'm going to move Fina right here. I'm going to choose my attack target right here. And you can see I have a 100% chance to charm with her bow on. And I'm going to charm the coral. As long as you charm the coral on turn 1, the coral will turn and attack the mind flayer and will silence him. And that is critical in making this fight a little bit easier. The rest of the fight is going to focus around managing the cactuars and managing the other enemies. I find that the Sahagin are pretty ignorable for the most part. The one up there I tend to just ignore, and I tend to focus on killing the Tonberry right here. So you'll see once I kill this Tonberry, and of course I'm not doing this to clear it, but I'm just kind of doing it to push through. Once I kill this Tomberry, a whole bunch of cactuars are going to spawn everywhere. Now, there is an objective to get a kill 2 achievement here. And I do find that if I ignore the light-based cactuar, the dark-based cactuar in him, like you can kind of block them off at the bridge here, and you can get the kill 2 relatively easily. It's also possible to get the kill 2 against the Sahagin, like the enemies are going to bunch up really well. But the biggest thing here is you want to snipe the tomberries, or the cactuars, sorry, as fast as possible, because they do have access to 10,000 needles, and they are more likely to use 10,000 needles the more turns that go by, and if they are weakened. So a lot of times they'll only use 1,000 needles if they haven't taken a hit yet. But if they are weakened, they will use 10,000 needles, and they can be pretty ghastly. And you can see here, Camillo doesn't deal the most damage to them in the world. Again, it's going to be Mariel that's going to deal the most damage. And that's really going to be the best way for you to go. I do also find that having Camillo sub-pugilist on this mission is really important. It's also important to know on this mission that you cannot heal on this mission. So the fact that you cannot recover HP and you have to defeat 2 enemies simultaneously does make this mission really difficult. What I found with this mission though is, you know, once you get Fina charming the coral, and once you kind of have the coral dealing with the mind flayer up there, the rest of the fight is literally just figuring out what order to do attacks to attack the cactuars, so that you can get the 2x kill, so that you can do kind of all of this. I've seen strategies I tried on my stream where I run backwards or where I run forwards and be more offensive, and kind of all of them seem like they're going to be viable. You just have to be really like you're going to have to do this mission 3 or 4 times, and you're going to have to figure out what works for your composition. I do believe that you could probably clear this with level 99 units and a 120 Camillo, but again, I would highly recommend EXing Mario, because I think doing the select quest mission 11 is going to be really difficult if you don't have her EX. And I do believe a lot of people have Phoebe and Fina also EX, so that works as well. Just keep in mind, you know, kind of figure out what you're going to be doing here. One other thing to factor in as well when you are considering your formations, Elshra does also have a light element mastery that can buff the party, and keep in mind that these missions are going to get a lot easier over the course of the next couple months, because we're going to have second masteries coming out for MR and below units, and it's going to kind of buff our units a little bit more, so keep that in mind. Light select quest mission 12, Mario is again the most important unit here, and it's really important to have access to sub calculator, because you are going to need to disable the opponent. Now on this mission, I struggled at some points to stay alive. There's 2 carbuncles, there's a bunch of birds, and then you also have Garble and Lemure. The biggest problem here was AoE damage for me. That was, you know, pretty substantial. Also, the paralyze that can go off can be pretty breaking on your characters. So looking at the mission objectives here, you can't take more than 30 actions. So you can heal, you can support, but you can't take more than 30 actions. Now remember, an action is considered an attack, an ability. An action would not be considered moving as far as I understand. You can't use items, defeat 3 or more enemies simultaneously, which is really easy, and I'm going to show you how to do that. And then clear all missions at the same time. Coming in here, again, Mario is the most important unit here. I would also say Fina is pretty important for her capability to sparkle shower, very similar to Light Select Quest mission number 13. So let's go in and I'll show you kind of what to do. Now, keep in mind, of course, the carbuncles are going to have access to reflect, so it is going to be pretty difficult to kind of use magic on them. What I tend to find though is that the carbuncles are not the biggest threat in the world. What we're gonna do here, I'm gonna take Mario and I'm gonna put her in this upper left-hand corner. And there is a very specific reason for that, because we're gonna be baiting the enemies to come to us. Carbuncles are going to do their reflect thing, and then we're going to get our turn. Usually I open up with buffs right here. Mario, we're going to move to this specific square. Now it has to be this square because it baits the enemies down into a perfect formation in order to get your kill 3. You can see that height-based disable does have a 100% chance to land. So we're going to wait here, and then I will click wait on all my units, and you will see them come down. Right, they're all going to come down and they're going to surround Mario. Now again, this is another reason why having Mario EX is incredible, because she's going to have access to, you know, a cross-shaped ability to deal damage. You could of course do something like Dragon Dive, but having Mario do it just makes things significantly easier. Now of course I don't have a sub-pugilist or anything, so I'm going to do Beguiling Dive with Camillo here, just to kind of show you guys how you get that kill 3. Another thing you'll notice is that this carbuncle tends to move over here into this corner. If you're worried about being able to get your kill 3 with Mario, what you can also do is you can also time it so that your Elshra has an attack, and then you can hazard slash right here and chain with potentially like a sparkle shower from Fina or a Dragon Dive from Camillo, and you can get your chain 3 here. So we're gonna wait, and then we should see this Cactuar move, or this Carbuncle move. That's the AoE attack that you do have to be aware of. All right, so you can see they get a turn to move here, and I'm gonna move my Mario back. I'm gonna Mind Crusher, and you'll see that it kills all of them except for one, and that's just because I have the wrong VCs set right now, right? The VCs that I have set right now are not going to let Mario be able to one-shot them. If I was gonna plan for this, I would plan to weaken the bird somehow with like Sparkle Shower or otherwise. Here we're gonna hope for a lucky crit, which we did get, and we did get the kill 3. So this is just, again, another reason why I love Mario. And when you do that, you're going to see that Lemure spawns. You're also going to see that we got Garble spawning, and we got 2 birds spawning. The problem with the birds is they're going to paralyze your team. The problem with Garble is he's going to deal high single target magic damage. And Lemure, I've always killed before she can do anything, because she spawns so low. She's Dark Element, and I can just nuke her out. So what I tended to focus on was Lemure, and usually Garble was out of range for me, so I would kill this bird first. I let the Carbuncles run rampant. I just kind of let them deal damage to me, because my biggest concern was Garble and the birds paralyzing my composition, because the birds do probably about a 2k AoE damage. So if you have the Eldira VC, that might be a really good VC to set here. And the rest of the fight, this is definitely the easiest out of all of the fights. The rest of the fight kind of just falls in. Once you know to disable with Mario and kind of lure the birds down, you can agility tune it. So like if you have to hazard slash, you can pull Mario out, and you can do that relatively easy. Again, very similar to Light Select Quest 11. It's going to take some time. I don't know if you can clear this with all level 99 units. I definitely was able to do it relatively easy with my 120 units compared to number 11, but I think without Mario you might have a little bit of difficulty with number 12. Now Light Select Quest number 13 is an interesting creature as well. You're going to want to make an element chain of 4 or more, recover no more than 15,000 HP. This is important, and then defeat 3 or more enemies simultaneously. Now there are some rumors that full life does not count towards the amount of recovered HP, and that is not true. The reason that you could potentially get a full life off is because you're going to heal no more than 15,000 HP. So if you full life someone and they're healed for 5,000 HP, you can get away for that. In terms of the defeat 3, this is going to be the hardest achievement to get in this mission, and I'll talk about how I do that. And then make an element chain of 4 or more. You can equip Triple Trick on Vistral if you want to. That makes it really easy. The other option is Omega is the final boss for this area, and it's relatively easy without Triple Trick and without any multi-hit abilities to get your chain 5 on him. I had some people recommending me to set the multi-hit Christmas VC that we recently got with Winter Luartha. I don't think that's necessary. You're going to want to set other VCs that make more sense. This is the formation that I ran to clear. The most important unit in this formation is Fina, and we can't charm, so I'm gonna equip Killer Bow on her. And I do like her to deal damage here. So if you have you know, things that you can equip to help her deal damage, particularly Platinum Bow for the defense penetration, because we're going to be targeting Mont, is going to be really good. You could put on Diamond Coat is going to help her. She's going to be utilized more as a offensive bow user than actually as a healer, surprishamly. So anything you can do that can kind of take out the opponents and make your damage a little bit more. Maybe instead of Odin, we put like Bahamut on, right? So she gets some Man-Eater to help her bow attacks. We'll put Ochu on. Another thing you want to consider is that you're also going to get multiple Esper evocations in this battle. So you want to consider what Espers you want to use in the fight, because you will get a chance to evoke them. Bahamut's a really good one. Carbuncle is also a really good one with Reflect. Iron Giant deals a lot of damage. So consider all of that as you're going into this. We are going to go in with initial placement on, and I'll show you just kind of what my approach was to this mission. Now, you actually do not need to have the Straw for this mission. You could put Phoebe in potentially. Just make sure you have access to a light element attack. to help you with the chaining. Now, taking a look at the map here, you can see we're spread out almost into two different teams. We have Rob and Mont on one side, and we have Elda and Stern on the other. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put Mariel and I'm going to put Elshira over here. I'm gonna take Vistral. Vistral is not gonna do anything for a long time. Vistral is not very helpful on this map. I'm gonna put Fina right here. And the big thing here that we're gonna do is we're gonna run away from Rob and Mont. It's really important that your Fina has as much range plus on her as possible. And the reason we're running away from Rob and Mont is because they are going to be the ones that can deal a lot of damage, take a while to kill, and we can actually immobilize and kill them from range with Fina and with Camillo as long as he's sub sniper. Mariel coming in here, if your Mariel is boosted enough, you will be able to one-shot Stern. Again, you can see my VCs aren't quite perfect here, but we're gonna hope for a crit, and we did crit, and we did kill Stern. So again, if you have that Mariel 120, she is a worthwhile investment for this map. Now, since Stern and Rob are both vulnerable to Shadowbind, we are going to Shadowbind Rob here, and since Rob and Mont are both vulnerable, we're going to Shadowbind Rob and we're going to run back. Now, Rob does have access to his EX abilities for Vortex Render, which is a really high range attack. So you're just going to stay very far away, and when you commit to killing Rob, you need to commit to killing him quickly. Elshira is gonna kind of spread out here. The reason you do this is Elda, I'm actually gonna go up here, because King Elda is going to deal a ton of damage. If you line things up properly, if you put your units next to each other, he will have no problem coming at you and just like murdering your units that are lined up in a line. So you can see here, if I had positioned my Elshira wrong, this would have been a little bit messy. I'm gonna move my Vistral all the way over here, and I'm gonna have him help deal with Elda. Now, the reason I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna use one of my triple tricks here, is because I'm trying to minimize as much damage to my units as possible, because I have 15,000 HP to heal, but the second part of the fight is much more important in terms of like healing yourselves. So I am going to take it really slow. I'm going to move Camillo right here. Even with max range, I do believe that Rob can still hit Camillo in a straight line if I straight lined him. So when I make my move on Rob, I'm gonna make my move on Rob all at once. So we'll get a Sparkle Shower on, we'll get our attacks on. And you'll also notice over here, I'm moving my units up towards this hill. Now, the reason I'm moving my units up towards this hill is there is a pack of 4 enemies that are going to spawn right here. Now, again, Mariel having that really powerful job level 25 cross-shaped attack is ideal for getting a kill 4 here, right? Or getting a kill 3. So when the 4 enemies spawn, it's going to be 2 Time Mages, it's going to be Ruin Stern, and it's going to be another Sword Wielder, and then another Sword Wielder spawns up here. So if you have your units positioned right here, it doesn't have to be Mariel. It could be Elshira with Hazard Slash, right? So you could do like Elshira, Hazard Slash, Fina, Sparkle Shower, right? You can do anything like that. As soon as they spawn, you just go wild on them. You get your kill achievement, and it should be relatively easy. The other thing I have going here is Elshira has Smile Practice on, so that when I'm running up here, she can heal them, and I don't have to worry too much about her using either, you know, Hazard Slash or anything. So we're just gonna, you know, Elda's gonna beat on us a little bit here, and that's fine. We're gonna Shadowbind Mont. We're in no rush here. We are in absolutely no rush in this fight. This is very similar to the Floor 60 EX if you did this and if you've seen my videos on it, where literally we can Shadowbind the opponent, we can build AP on them before the next wave, we can get our units perfectly into position, and then we can just obliterate the, you know, we can kill Elda, we can kill Rob. And then once all of our units have a lot of AP, once they're all buffed, once, you know, Mont is still shadowbound and getting plinked to death by Fina, we kill Mont, and then we kill Ruin Stern, the 2 Time Mages, and the Sword Wielder before he has a turn to take a turn. And then you go for Omega, who is going to spawn right here. And Omega is not scary. As long as you keep Elshira away, as long as you have Mario tanking or you have Camillo tanking, because they have significant amounts of resistance and tankiness, you're going to be fine tanking out Omega this way. So this is the best way I found. Again, if you want to see me do it live on stream, I did do it live on stream and it is in my VOD. But I actually found 13 and 12 were significantly easier than 11. But they just take, like, 13 is like an orchestrated dance of like shadow binding and, you know, taking your time. 12 is like a chess game where you have to line up everything perfectly. Like, once you know the Mario move, once you have the setup to get your kill 3 relatively easily, like once your agility is adjusted to all that, it is relatively easy all the way. One other thing you want to know for 13, make sure you turn your reaction abilities off. That's going to be like drain HP. That's going to be auto cure from Fina. You know, anything that heals regenerator on like Phoebe and Elshira. Turn all of those off, set on counter abilities. Be careful with Fina. Fina can have counter shot. So like I put counter shot on and she shot one of my units in the back. That is not what you want to happen. So make sure you, like, it might be better to go to one of Fina's other counters than counter shot and auto cure. But just be aware of that as you are going into these missions, because these missions are going to take some time. I actually, you know, going into stream, I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to bust out light select 11 to 13 in like an hour. And it actually ended up taking me like 3 hours to get it perfect. So anyway, everybody, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're going to come see me play Elden Ring tonight. I am super excited. It rolls out at 9 o'clock. And I'll catch you guys next time. Oh, I hit the wrong button.